Oh, here's the game. Muziri Sriram. And so it's an even game. No candy cap. White has 6.5 points of komi, and I get to go first. So let's do a 4-4 and a 4-3. And then let's do the low Chinese. We'll take a side point here. And we will back off in the high direction. I have seen that. Let's see, since he's already extended here, I think I can, I guess kicking that stone, all it does is protect the corner. Maybe I should take another big side here, or approach over here and break up his big side. I guess this is the biggest side. And so when he pincers, I will dive into the corner. Then you extend here. When he blocks, then extend downward if he blocks on top. And then you cut here. And this is supposed to be good for black. I'm still trying to figure out how exactly. So if he extends in that direction, he is protected against me taking that stone. So I think I can go after these stones. Let's see, but he can Atari this stone from this side. I guess that's the problem. He can Atari from this side. I go here, he Ataris. I extend, he Ataris again. Or he can put it in a ladder. Where does the ladder run? I guess that's the question. Runs into my stone over here. Yeah. So let's go ahead and go after these three stones. That was the idea, is that this stone is, this cutting point is now attacking two groups. It's attacking this group, and it was attacking this lone stone over here, and white sort of needs to choose which side to defend. So now I think he can capture these stones. But this only worked because I had the ladder. Let's see. Yeah. So I connect here, and that's an Atari on those three stones. And he resigned. Well, anyway, that's a trick I learned watching YouTube videos, so a handy thing to know. Let's go back and show how this Joseki is supposed to go. White is supposed to extend once more, not cut. And then black is supposed to hane underneath. White blocks, black connects, white connects, and then black can extend here, I think. Maybe it's here. I think you jump. And so that's as far as I know, but the point is that you have a living group in the corner, and white has cut off this stone. So it's a little something for everyone. If we go back to the game, when white plays his next move, instead of extending, he cuts. And now you can't cut immediately. This is a mistake, because these two stones are too weak. So you actually descend once. And now these are strong enough to withstand. If he counterattacks in this direction, you can come in on this side. So he covers, tries to keep your stones split apart, and now you have this cut. And white can connect underneath and save these three stones, but then you get this stone. And as we saw, if white tries to save this stone, if white tries to save this stone as in the game, then you can capture these stones. And this particular way I played depends on the ladder. So let's just check the ladder. Okay, just wanted to make sure I got that pattern clearly in mind. I won't do it the rest of the way. So my stone comes here, and he has to block. You know, the ladder did not work for me. He could have caught my stones there. Oh, let me see. Maybe the ladder works in a different way. The ladder works, yeah, being silly. If the ladder works because when I go here, if he continues to block, I take there. So, yeah, so one way or another, so even without the ladder, I mean, even without a stone down in this area as a ladder breaker, this move here actually kills those 3 stones. So in this position, this cut actually kills this group or this group, and either way you're going to have more profit than you deserve in the game. So that was a short game, but I thought it was worth sharing just to reinforce that lesson about how you should play that particular Joseki. So I thought I would do a post-mortem of another game I played this week, just to make the video a little longer. And I've been trying something different in the past couple weeks, actually. I've been listening to these videos by Dwyron, where he's talking about basic building. So I was watching the Back to Basics series, and in particular the ones that were called Basic Building, and I tried to use some of his ideas in this game. And well, let's take a look at how it worked out. Notice that it's an even game. I have 6.5 points of Comey, and I have the white pieces. And so we start off with a pretty normal opening. I choose to go with 2 4-4 points. So this building style, you're playing for influence more than for territory. So the 4-4 points are consistent with that. Black is also taking a big point there with that extension. I approach down here. I guess I had a question here as to what the biggest side was, but it seemed like the sides are about the same. They are the same length, but it seemed like approaching the weaker stone was the way to go because it's more likely to force a reaction. And then I did the normal Joseki there, diving into the corner and backing off. Black takes a big point here, and then I split this 2 groups. So you can argue that this is not the biggest point on the board. I mean, there is this point here, for example, trying to lay claim to this whole side. There's also reinforcing the corners. I mean, both corners, since they're 4-4 points, are open underneath. But this was kind of a new idea for me, this splitting of my opponent's groups. Usually when I want to break up a side, I approach. But in this case, I couldn't find a really good approach. Both these groups seem fairly strong, and if I approach either one, I'll probably just get pincered. So I tried to split. Black approached from above, and I played a 2-space extension. So it was interesting. When I placed the stone, I had room for a 2-space extension on this side and still a 1-space gap to that stone. Or there was not quite room for a 2-space extension on this side, but this was as close as I could get to the middle. If I had played 1 step higher here, if I had played at C10 instead of C9, then I would have only 2 spaces in this direction, and I'd be bumping against this stone. Whereas here in this direction, there's only 2 stones, and I would be at least coming to a diagonal here, not directly touching it on my 2-space jump. So that's why I chose that point to invade. Chose this C9 point to invade, and then when he approached, I made my extension, and then I honeyed underneath right away because I figured this group is going to have to fight a little bit to live here. It's going to need space underneath, and it may have to also create some space out in the center too. And he starts to enclose me right away. So I think Black is playing this part well. In fact, Black is following the prescription, you could say, of playing for influence. He attacks my weak group and tries to build a wall here and control a lot of space. So when he played underneath, though, I thought that was kind of a slow move, and I extended on top once so that this stone is now looking down in this direction, and I'm feeling pretty good about this group, so I'm not going to play again in that area. And when he plays somewhere else, he approaches my stone, and I back off. I defend the corner that way, and he splits, and I approach his stone, and he makes a 2-space extension. So I kick it, and then I play this high move here. So once again, this is partly the influence of the videos I've been watching. I could have just backed off to O17. That would be a more territorial move. This is more influence oriented. So there's still a weakness. Black could still invade here at S17, and there's also, Black can jump into this corner as well, sliding underneath or jumping right in. So my corners are still a bit open, but I do have a fair amount of influence on this side and some territory over here and a little bit on this side. And notice that I am peeking out into the center and looking, not only out into the center but also down to this group. So I think it's all okay so far. Black played some moves to defend and shore up his corner, and then Black jumped out at O12 here. So at this point, I felt like I had Sente, and I was looking around for a big move to play, and I played this move. I played the capping move here at e11. And this is what I got from the series. One of the points I got was that these capping moves can be a great way to build your influence, to increase your influence. And Dwyron was using them quite effectively, so I'm trying it out. So, I tried a couple new things in this game that I hadn't been playing a lot. One was splitting the group by jumping into the middle, splitting the side by jumping into the middle, and the other thing was this capping move. And I think this part worked out pretty well. So he bumped up against my stone, or approached it, and then I just started building a wall here. And then when black went to reinforce the lower side here, I used this stone to make a knight's move down and just push down on his territory here. Now I am letting him build fourth line territory, but I'm also at the same time as I play those moves extending my influence in this area, and it's starting to maybe turn into territory. It's hard for me to say at this point exactly when it turns into territory, but it seems like it is on the way. And maybe I should have continued with the Hane here. He would probably double Hane and I could extend, but I wasn't sure I wanted to allow him or give him those moves, right? I mean, I have to play a couple of moves and he's pushing me back in a way, and he gets his stone further out into towards the center. So after he played the Hane, I left this group off. He could just turn and go after this group, so he could really restrict it if he wanted to here as well. But anyway, I played a move over here thinking maybe he would respond to it, because this is kind of a weak group. It's only 4 stones. They don't have a lot of space to run to. They have room out in the center to run to, but they don't have a lot of room for a base, and maybe I can harass it and force it to make some eyes here. So that's another idea that Dwyron was talking about a lot. You lean on these groups and use that to build your influence. So that's what I'm doing over here, and I've got the makings of a little wall over there that I can, black tanuki'd at this point. After I blocked here, black approached the corner, and I ignored that for one move, because he's still, I'm giving up part of that corner in order to protect this cut. But that was another thing that Dwyron emphasized, was making sure your groups are safe. And I realized this cut, or it seemed to me this cut was pretty dangerous. First of all, there's no ladder, right? The ladder walks into these black stones over here. So if black cuts there, I can't catch that stone on a ladder. And I wanted this group to be pretty solid. So I played one more move here, protecting the cut, but also linking up with these stones to try and build some influence here. So that allows black to get into the corner. After he comes in this far, I Hane, and black gets a share of the corner here, and then comes on top. And then black left off at this point and switched up to the top side here. He's looking at this territory. So at this point, I defend. A more effective move for black. No, I guess I take it back. I think this is a good move for black, because he's trying to increase the space available to this group to make sure it doesn't get into trouble. And he's pushing down on me the same way I was pushing down on him over on this side. But in a way, I was happy to see these moves, because as I fill in here, his invasion becomes less likely to work. But I didn't continue blocking. What I did was I came out after he extended here and peeped at this connection. I was going to allow him to poke through here in exchange for getting this outside influence where I'm just totally surrounding this group. So let's continue. He did poke through and I blocked, and then I protected the corner with this move. And this gives him some forcing moves, so later he can play an Atari here at S15, and I'll have to connect and he can push in. So I'm losing points in the corner, but at the same time I have surrounded this group quite a bit and limited its influence to the center. Now you can see the beginnings of maybe some potential territory for white in the center. In addition to what I've got along the sides, I still have a decent amount of territory here, here, and a little bit over here. Black has more territory if you look at it, so I am going to have to rely on that center at some point to make up for the difference. And if you look at this group here, this is pretty big, and this is pretty big. So between those two big groups, I think he has a little more than I do. This group I have over here is not quite as big as his group. These are pretty comparable, aren't they? Maybe this group is a little smaller than that one. So I think black has a slight lead in territory, but I have this influence on the center, and I think overall it's a good game for me at this point. So anyway, he's trying to get into the center here, it looks like, by curling around on this stone. I block, and once again I do a capping move rather than just tightly with the coming on top very tightly with the hane here. I don't know if that's entirely right, but I was thinking that he can push through here, and I want to block in a way that doesn't damage this group. So that's kind of the advantage of these capping moves, is they're they're not putting immediate pressure on your opponent, but they're giving you time to set up a pretty solid perimeter here as your opponent approaches it. Okay, so now black starts jumping out on this side, and I definitely want to cap that. So there's another capping move. And then I can't keep him from coming out to the center entirely, so he's going to come out in this direction. Maybe instead of playing here, I should have considered jumping out over here so that these stones would be in a narrow channel. But this surrounding move here seemed pretty good too. It seems like there's no way for these stones to break out now. So I'm keeping his group split apart, which is also an important idea, it seems. So anyway, black got this move here. So he's encroached on some potential territory I might have there. I jump out once to prevent him from coming in further. And then he gets this sente move against the corner here. So he takes that. I defend. And then he switches back to this side. So he's building up his territory over here. That was maybe a bit of a slow move. I wasn't immediately thinking of playing there. I think that being able to get this move in was pretty big for me, because this not only blocks him, but it starts to build a territory with these other stones. So let's see, he comes out on this side, so now he's making life with this group and securing the territory he has, and I'm just trying to limit it. And I did get this limiting move here, so it prevents him from encroaching further into the corner. So at this point, I really am thinking of just firming up the boundaries of the territory that we have, and I think I have enough of a lead to win the game. So that's what I do. Let's see, he does poke in here, and I block. And then, he could have considered cutting here. But I think I'm strong enough that I can just block like this, and this stone, I don't know if it really has anywhere to run. I can sort of catch it in a net, maybe something like that. So it's these two stones don't have anything to link up to. So maybe those cuts really just don't work. And so he poked, and I blocked, and he extended this direction. I blocked again, and then he started extending this group. So he's just making his territory larger, kind of maximizing its value, and I'm just trying to block him out of the center. And now I've got a very solid wall, so this is definitely territory at this point. It's sort of coming down to whether he can do some damage with these stones, which I think he can. He can jump up. He does some hanes there, and then he tries to encroach with these stones. And let's see, we're just playing out some end-game moves here and there. I poked in once because I wanted him to have to defend this territory, so I thought that was sente, and then I came back and blocked over here. You have to always question whether that was big enough. If I block here and he ignores it and pushes through here, am I still okay? Do I have to I do have this line of diagonal stones here, which is starting to look a little weak here. Maybe I have to actually defend at that point. But anyway, he responded to this poke, and then I was able to come back and defend. I don't know if that was correctly calculated, though, I have to admit. Let's see. So he continued making shape over here. So he's got a little eye space there, and also pushing against my territory, and I'm just defending it. So we're just kind of defining the border. And now he tried to jump in. So I think he was definitely feeling that he was behind. But because of the way he approached this corner, poking in, I've got stones. I have a stone on the 3-3 point. I have stones here. There's no longer a corner invasion anymore. He did manage to invade this corner, but there's no corner invasion here. So he had to jump in here if he wanted to invade. And I think there's really just not enough room to live there. We played on a few moves here, and I just kept his stones cut apart to the best extent possible. I was a little worried at this point. Is he going to capture that stone and make a good shape for himself and maybe find a way to live on the second line? That would make a big difference in the territory, and I think with proper defense I should be able to prevent it. So anyway, that's why I extended down here. But I realized that when I capture this stone, yeah, he attacked it. But I realized, well, I can capture this cutting stone, and I probably could have the move before, but now it's even better now because these two groups are cut apart and they can't connect, so there's really no hope for them. He played on, yeah, and then he changed over to this side. Let's see, I wanted to look at some other move here. I was wondering if after I extended, he could have attacked this stone. But I guess it doesn't work because I can always just capture here. I know what I was thinking. Thinking maybe he could cause me trouble by extending this way. And now I have to worry that this group isn't short of liberties, right? These two stones only have 2 liberties. And this group has 3 liberties. These 2 stones have 3 liberties. So I have to be careful about the capturing race. But then I realized I can come around and attack this stone. And it's my move, and it only had 2 liberties. So I am still safe. His group is split apart. His invading group is split apart, and he's not capturing any of my stones and making eye space that way. So so no matter how he played that, I don't think there was any way for him to live there. So we're coming up to another turning point in the game. Let's see. Oh, he played one more move here, and I just blocked on this side, and then came back and protected this corner. So there's nowhere for these stones to link up to. So I think after that he left those stones alone, and then he came back to this side, and it had been kind of a long game. We were playing this at a slow time control. I didn't respond immediately over here, but I played one more stone over here, which maybe was not necessary. Well, I don't know. It felt like this was a little bit weak over here, but I could have played a solid connection there. And black started making some cuts over here. And I was a little bit worried, but I think this all holds together if I play correctly. And then here's where I blunder. So I did not notice, let's back up, when black played this move, I was still worried about these stones over here. And what did I play? I played something over here to try and protect this cutting point. But when he played this move, he made an Atari on those stones. So I really needed to play here. And then let's see, if we give black one more move, say what's a big move for black? Maybe he can Hane in here. And then we can ask what the score of the game is. Just to back up my idea that I'm a little bit ahead. And yeah, I'm ahead by 10 points. So, and that's giving up quite a few points in the corner, which probably I would be able to defend and hold on to those. So, well, it's giving up 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 points. It's gave up 8 points. So if you add those back, that would be like 18 points. But even a 10-point lead, it just shows that this style of, you grab some territory on the sides, but as you play into the center, you try to build influence and cap your opponent, and you can end up with a pretty big central area like this. So it seemed to be a style that works, and so I'm going to continue to play that for a while and see how it goes. Okay, but that's not how the game went. The game went, let's see, I played there, he played there, Atariing my stones. I ignored it, and he captured them. And now if we do an analysis, or an estimate score, you'll see that, oh, okay, I'm not yet losing. So that was a pretty big mistake, but maybe not completely losing just yet. Well, it's made the game extremely close, so I gave up my advantage that I had. But anyway, I guess I had just gotten tired at this point. I was starting to say it was kind of a long game. We were playing at a 20-minute plus overtime time control, and I think we had used up most of our main time. So I made another blunder over here. Let's go forward. Yeah, I blocked these stones out on this side when he invaded the lower right corner. Let's see. he defended his cut here. Now I need to come back and defend my cut. I was thinking that I didn't have to defend the cut, because if he cuts here and attacks this stone, I can just run it till it meets up with these stones. And so I played away, because that's one of the things I've been trying to do too, is not make needless defensive moves. But this was a necessary defensive move because when he cuts here, it not only attacks this stone, it also attacks these three, and so I lose some more stuff in the corner here, and that's enough. Now at this point, white is in the lead, and we're close enough to the end that there was no way for me to really get it back. I don't know, I could have maybe thought about some kind of invasion in here. It's hard to see that that would really live, though. Anyway, I didn't try that. We just played on, finished out the borders, and that was how the game ended. If we go back to the game, black won by 13 points, 13 and a half points. So anyway, it was a pretty interesting game, and I thought that style worked pretty well, so I think I'm going to continue that, and maybe you'll get to see it in a live game sometime. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you later. Bye.